Hello! Hopefully you can all hear me. I'm going to have to wait for Mike to let me know that you can, though. We've got so many people with us, though. I'm not going to start saying hello until I know I'm live. I think I'm now live. Ooh, nearly, am I? Everyone's going to be talking to me. Everyone's going to be talking to me in the chat before Mike's acknowledged I'm live.
You're live?
Yes, I'm live. Excellent. Right. I'm going to say hello to each and every one of you, which is going to be interesting if I can't pronounce your name. But let's have a go. Oh, Kim. Hello, Kim. Hello, Mish. We have Mark with us and G Trimpin. I do like Trimpin. Trimpin, I like that. Oh, what else have we got? We have Charmaine. Hello. And Carol is with us as well. Evie's excited. Excellent. Now, is this war or var, or am I a million miles away? Let me know. Let me know. Next we have Thea, hello, and Simon is with us, and Pac-Man CT, I like Pac-Man as well. Oh, you're from Belgium, excellent. This is why I can't pronounce it. But let me know, do let me know how you say that. 2 steps away, or Ignacio, as he is known. Then we have Eva, hello, and who else have we got with us? We've got Dave with us. Oh, Flight Simulator Cockpit. Do you know, it's one of my secret passions, that, isn't it, Mike? Watching YouTube videos about aviation. What's it called? Mentor Pilot, one of my favourites. Right, who else have we got? Jamie, hello, Jamie. And Patrick and Diana and Karen. First was best. Right, what did I say first?
I can't remember.
I think it was war.
I think so.
I think I'm there. Excellent. And we have Eva from Latvia. Excellent. Good to have you all with us. I don't normally do the what people have been known in private messages to say is a waffling intro. But you know what? I'm beyond caring. I want to make sure everybody knows that I am here, I am live, and you're here and you're live.
I'm here and I'm live.
Yes.
I am not an AI bot.
No, Mike is not an AI bot. He's a real person. Oh, New Jersey. Yes, let me know where you're all from. I know Eve is from, is it Edinburgh? Is it Edinburgh, Glasgow? I think it's Edinburgh. We've met before, so I know that. But let me know where you're all from. Upstate New York. Do you know, I always fancied going to New York. And then all these silly travel rules came in and put me right off. But I always did fancy New York. More so than anywhere else in America. I don't know why. It always seems exciting when you see it on the TV. That's probably why. Right, okay, hopefully you can see my screen. I talk about this because I'm using a whole different system today that I've never used before. If it all goes wrong, it's not me, is it, Mike?
We'll blame the tech.
We're going to blame the tech instead. But at the moment, it all looks tickety-boo, which is alarming. When it goes too well in rehearsals, it never goes well live. But let's get on with it. Oh, Arlington, Virginia. Now, I've heard of that. Virginia, isn't that where the CIA is? Or something like that. It's in one of my books that I read, I'm sure. Virginia, Arlington. Yes, I'm sure. Something out that way, let me know. Oh, Jammy's in Crewe, which is all of about, what, 30 miles away? And he's eating noodles. I had noodles for lunch. There you go. Australia. Now, it's probably some silly time in Australia, isn't it? But not as silly as it could be. We have been known to have people join us from Australia. About 5 in the afternoon, which is something like 4 in the morning there. So hopefully it's a reasonable time. Right, having gathered you can all see my screen, let's get on with this. And you definitely shouldn't be seeing that. There you go. See, I told you something had happened. I click on something and something happens. Right, we are broadcasting in 1080p. Make sure you are receiving in 1080p. To do that, there is a cog in the lower right-hand corner. Make sure you see the flash on it, the red flash. There's also a like button while you're down there. Might as well, 2 birds, 1 stone. And hit that like button. But it does make a difference with YouTube. Or so YouTube tell me. So they tell me. Right, what we are doing today is taking a file from nothing, so from file new, to a polished layout. The file in question is this file, which is a PDF. It's available for download. So there's a QR code. Mike will put the link in for it. It is 24 pages of a PDF, and it was for the session that I ran last week. So I created it from scratch, although, to be honest, I have a template. But that's probably the last step that we'll do, make a template of it. If you want to download that PDF and follow along, feel free. Now, if you have never heard of me, I'm Elaine Giles, and I've been using Affinity Publisher since since the very first day it came out in beta. Do you remember when, Mike?
No.
It was 2018, and they promised it before the end of August, which was handily when we had a week's holiday. It came out on the 31st about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They just made it. And I've been using it since then. It was in beta for 10 months. And then finally was released 6 years ago now. So, today, from blank page to polished layout, I am assuming with this that you have a working familiarity with Affinity Publisher, but I will explain every single feature that I talk about as we go along. Affinity Publisher is available for Mac and for Windows. They are identical, I do believe. There are maybe 3 tiny differences, if that. There is only one difference between them that I will be mentioning today, and I won't actually be using that. I'll just point out that it's different on the Mac to Windows. There is also a version for the iPad, not the phone, but the iPad. Everything I do today, I do believe you would be able to do on the iPad. I'm not demonstrating it on an iPad. Do you remember the last time I tried that? Oh, it went so well, didn't it? We ended up, if you remember, in Adobe Connect because YouTube was having a moment. But you should be able to do everything that I do today on an iPad if that is your platform of choice. Right, okay. Do we have any questions before I even get going?
Not yet.
Oh, Italy and South Africa. Excellent. Doing very, very well here for pins on a map. We should do that, shouldn't we? There are platforms that have pins on a map. We should do that. Right, okay. Let's get into it. So this is the file in question. This is the final PDF. So as you can see, it's got a lovely front cover on it. And as I start moving through it, we have a table of contents, which is showing not just level 1 headings, but additional headings in there. Then I have my intro to the file, and then I get into 7 tips for Scrivener. So how to start smart in Scrivener. And there are images, there are pull quotes, the text is styled, we have bullets, there's images, there's all kinds of things in there. One more thing to point out is over on the left hand side in here, when I open these up, you can see that I also have a navigation outline available in my PDF. And that too is generated from Affinity Publisher. I'm old enough to remember when we needed to download plugins and all kinds of stuff for Adobe Acrobat that cost us £500 for one seat. Do you remember that, Mike? And you needed Acrobat to be able to do that. But everything that you see in this file is done via Affinity Publisher. Everything. So we have the outline. We also have thumbnails. There was a time you had to generate those yourself as well. But all of the thumbnails come through as well. So that is the finished product that we will end up with today. I promise. The thing that probably, if something is going to go wrong in here, it's probably the outline. So I will explain how the outline actually works. So let's get rid of that into Affinity Publisher and file new, and let's start. So this file I'm starting with has absolutely nothing in it at this moment. No content, but it also has no settings or any of the things like text styles and baseline grids and colours. It's got nothing in it. We are really starting from scratch. Now I have a custom setting, but it wouldn't matter. It's just A4, which could be this one at the top. I do recommend at this point that you think what size you need for your file. So is it A4, A5, are you going A3? What size is it? Because it's easier to get it right at the beginning, but every single thing that you see in here can be edited. So you don't have to throw it away and start again if you think, oh, you know, I had one setting wrong. It can all be edited. So I'm going to choose this custom one because I know it's right. But I'm going to make some changes to it. The very first thing to think about after you've decided on the size is what are you doing with the file? Is it going to go for print or is it going to be a PDF? Now in my case, this is going to be a PDF. And that determines what is best in terms of configuration for certain things in here. So my layout is fine. in terms of the size, which is for A4. I am going to leave the DPI at 300, and that way I get a decent quality. My document unit is millimetres. You may have inches depending on where you are in the world. The most important thing in here, beyond the page width and height, is your image placement. Are you having this embedded or are you having it linked? And there are the options in there, embedded or linked. I prefer embedded. Your mileage may vary. It depends. It would depend on the number of files that you're adding, so your images. It would depend on the size of them. It could be that when you send them for print, they want the images separate, in which case you may choose linked. But as I said, everything in here can be changed down the line. So I could start with them embedded and then change that down the line. I could do that. So I'm leaving it at embedded. If I only have a few images and or they're smallish images in terms of file size, embedded is better as far as I'm concerned, because when I hand that file around, the images are inside it. If I choose linked and I share the file, it could be that people have a very blurred thumbnail and it will say images are missing, and they're missing because you've not sent the images with the file. Whereas embed, and you can't go wrong with it. So I'm leaving mine set to embed. Then I'm going on to pages. Now in the pages, it's set by default to facing pages, but I've already established that my output is going to be a PDF. Therefore, I don't really need to think about facing pages in a print layout. I could put the pages side by side in my PDF, but if you think of people reading it on a phone or a small tablet, it's going to be annoying to be scrolling left to right. So I'm going to take away the facing pages option, and now I will have individual pages that I will scroll through going up and down. Now, then I've got my number of pages in it. By default, this is set to 1. I can up this, but at this stage, I don't really know how many pages that I want. So I'm going to leave that set to just the 2 at the moment. Then there's the colour. This really depends whether you are going to print or you're doing a PDF. I'm doing a PDF, so RGB is absolutely fine. Next up is margins. Again, all of this can be changed later, but I do want margins, and I do want them to be 10 on the left, 10 at the top, 10 at the right, and 15 at the bottom. And the reason it's bigger at the bottom is I'm going to put a page number on there and some branding, so I'm leaving myself enough space. Then there's the bleed. Now, because this is primarily a PDF, I'm not concerned about the bleed. If this was for print, I would have a bleed on it, probably the default of 3mm. I don't think I've ever had to use anything other than 3mm, but mine usually go to print to one of 2 locations and they both use 3mm. If you're not sure what to put in there and it is going to print, you need to talk to the print service that is printing it for you. Mostly they will provide an instruction sheet for settings. Unfortunately, 99% of those are for InDesign, but you can take an InDesign set of instructions, and yes, things may be called something different, but everything you need should be in there. And when I first set up my output for print, it was a set of InDesign instructions I had to translate into Affinity Publisher, and they print perfectly. Okay, at that stage I've got everything that I need, so I'm going to hit create. That gives me my 2 pages. I also have a master page at the top, and by default that master page is applied to these 2 pages. Now, the next thing I need to do is think about what I'm going to do with it in terms of content. And that might be where you go wrong. You start putting content in it. Don't do that. The content is the last thing to go in it. Because if you get all of your settings configured correctly, putting the content in will be a doddle. But if you start putting the content in now and then thinking, oh, I need some colours, I need some global colours, oh, I need to turn the baseline on, oh, good grief, I need to sort the textiles out, then you're going to have to go backwards and apply all of that to content you've already added. But I do appreciate, at this stage, you may think to yourself, I just want to get the content in. I want to feel that I'm making progress. Everything I'm going to be doing for at least 60% of this demonstration is nothing to do with the content. It's all of the things around the content. But the moment I start putting the content in, you'll appreciate why I did all of that work first. So the very first thing I'm going to do is sort out some global colours. This is one of the differences between the Mac version and the Windows version of Affinity Publisher. In the Mac version, you have colour palettes, you have system colour palettes, you have application colour palettes, and you have document colour palettes. These system colour palettes are really useful. It means I can have a set of colours like the Microsoft Office colours, which are the latest branding from 2017, although I believe they're changing them shortly. They would, wouldn't they? Means that I have access to the Microsoft branding in all my applications, because all of these colour palettes live at my system level. Windows does not have that. So don't be surprised if you don't see that if you're on the Windows version. But you will see your Pantone colours, you will see your application palettes, and if you choose to create a document palette, you will see document palettes. At the moment, there are no document palettes in here at all. I need to create one. Now I can do that in one of two ways. I can go up to my burger menu and I can add a global colour. That will automatically create a document palette. Or I can add a document palette from the Add Document Palette menu, which is fantastic. Two ways to do it. But if I already know what those colours are, and I'm pretty much using, if not the same actual hex codes, I'm using the same names for my colours, it's far easier to import them if you have them, and I do. And when you import, you get to choose whether you import as an application palette, a document palette, or a system palette. Unless you're on Windows, no system palettes. So I want to import a document palette as, I want to import a colour palette as a document palette. So I'm going to click that option there. That takes me to my demo folder. And in here, I have my colours. You can see that the file format for a colour palette is AF palette. It can also read Adobe Swatch Exchange files, ASEs. This one was exported from a file, from the original file actually, that is now complete. So what I'm going to do with it is import it and import it as a document palette. So open on there, and that adds in an extra section at the top for document. I've called this document, you can call it whatever you like. It just makes sense to me to have at least one called document, and then as I quick glance at it, I know what type of palette it is. Having said that, each one has a different icon, and therefore you should be able to tell what type of palette it is anyway. In here I have text primary, text secondary, and I've got a range of other colours, in this case hyperlinks and picture frames and all kinds of stuff. These are the colours that I will be using in here. So I've started building the file. I will save the file at that point. I will save it into my data in here. So this is Start Smart, isn't it? There we go. Doesn't look like I've done anything, but I have actually started, honestly. We've now got global colours in there. The next thing that I would turn on, because if I don't do it now I'm going to forget, is my baseline grid, which is at the top here. This is one of the things people seem to get very confused about. All the baseline grid is for is to make sure that your text lines up horizontally between columns. That's it. It's also a really good way of making sure that your text has breathing room between the lines. So if I turn that on, nothing happens at this stage. It doesn't look like it does. But that's because there is a display threshold for which is set to 75%, and I'm not seeing the baseline grid. If I put a tick in there, I can now see the baseline grid. That's where my text is going to be lined up to. Now I know, because I've already created this document, that I changed this to 8 points, which is much tighter, but it worked better. So I'm going to set that baseline grid to 8 points. And I don't really want to see it. It's too distracting when I'm working. But it's one of those things that set it at this point, and again, you won't have to rejig, reorganise your content down the line because you forgot to do it. So we now have a baseline grid applied to it. The next thing I'm going to do, and all of this is before I've got any text in here whatsoever, and some of you will be hyperventilating. I know that, but believe me, adding the actual text, the content to this, is far easier when everything is set up correctly. So the next thing I'm going to be thinking about is text styles. It's always better to style your text. Now, not every application works that way. Word does. Scrivener doesn't. Scrivener prefers unformatted text, unstyled text. However, in this case here, we always have a set of default styles provided by Affinity Publisher. I have this set up. Yours may look slightly different. I show the hierarchy and I sort by type. If I don't do that, it drives me mad working with it. Look at the state of that. It then becomes alphabetical. I've got to rely on the icons to show me which are paragraph styles, which are group styles, which are character styles. No, 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 no. I don't want to see that. So I always make sure I have a hierarchy and I'm sorting by type. A hierarchy means that my base style, which is the style that everything else is based on, has a disclosure triangle. And within there, I have my body styles, drop caps, initial words, all kinds of stuff. I have bullet styles. I have some headings. I have numbered styles. At the bottom, I also have some character styles. I have emphasis and I have strong, which is bold. Now, these are the ones you have by default. I'm not using those. However, something to be aware of. Don't just go through here and think, I'm not using heading 2, I'm going to delete it, and then need to add it back. Because inside these styles, there are some magic. So if we look at the styles, there's lots of sections to do with what this style looks like and how it behaves. But there are things about these styles that is not in this editor. And if you choose to delete it and think, oh, well, if I need it, I'll add it back later, you can add a style back, but there will be secret elements missing. Secret elements, no less. So be careful when you're deleting styles. Know what you're doing before you delete them. But guess what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to delete all of these styles. I don't actually need to delete them, but I have a set of styles that I prefer. And there's a couple of reasons why I prefer my styles. And one of them is how I apply them. And the second thing is how they actually look. So there's two reasons why I prefer my own styles rather than the default ones. And if I import my preferred styles now, some are going to clash with the names, like heading 1, heading 2. It's all going to clash. So yes, I can choose at the point I import them if I want to overwrite them, but why do that? Don't do that. Because it means that you're looking at it and you're thinking, is that one I created? Is it one that it created? Is it using my colours? You wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know. So I'm going to right click on the group that contains the base style and I'm going to delete the entire thing. I'm also going to delete the emphasis. So delete emphasis and delete strong. At this point, I have no text styles in here. You may say, oh, Elaine, yes, you do. You've got 2. But look, they are no style. There's nothing in them. Can I actually delete these? I can. I could actually delete those, but I might as well leave them because that just means there's no style on it. What I'm going to do now is import my preferred styles, take you through them and show you why I've made them the way I've made them. So you'll notice there's no export styles. That's not just because I've just deleted them. You cannot export files, your text styles, from an Affinity Publisher file. You can, however, import them. Now, that makes sense if you think about it. There's no point in Affinity taking time and resources to make an exported text styles file format when they can live quite happily in an Affinity Publisher file. And that's what I've done. I have an Affinity Publisher file, and in it, it contains the styles. That's it. That's all that's in it. So I'm going to say import styles. My text styles are in my text styles folder. There is my file, and I'm going to open that, and it brings up the imported text styles dialog box. You can see there I've got a type next to it. So these are paragraph styles. These are groups, so they aren't paragraph nor are they character. The tick means that you're going to check them all to import them all. As I scroll down, you can see I've got bullets and I've got bullet colours. I've got all kinds of stuff. The A is a character style. The Pilcrow is a paragraph style. And you can see there are lots of them. There are no conflicts because I deleted all the styles first. Who's got time to deal with conflicts? Just delete the lot and bring in your own. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, if in here you had a clash, you would select the style and it would tell you what the format of that was. And if you had an existing style, it would tell you what was in that format, and that would allow you to do a comparison between the two. But we have nothing to worry about because I had the wisdom to delete the styles first. So I'm just going to import the whole lot. To some degree, it looks the same, if not very, very similar. We have a question, which is, how did I create the styles, the imported styles? I will show you how to make a style. It is really simple. All you need to do is have a text frame or an artistic text frame. You would need to put in there some text, so new style. Format that however you would like it formatted. So I have a font in here called Zapfino. There's my style. I could choose to make that different colours. So let's have it red as well. Let's have it bigger than that. Now I've got a new text style. And all I need to do is make sure that I am inside that. You could select it or you could just click inside it. And at the bottom, you have the option to make a paragraph style. You could make a character style or you could make a group style. So in this case, it would be a paragraph style. I would click on there, and what it would do is show me this is all the formatting that's applied to it. There's acres of it, isn't there? But if I call that new style and OK, there is my new style. Now, if I go to this and I style it as something else, so a plain body style like that, and I then think, no, I've lost my nice text and stuff. I go back to my style, which was called new style, and I apply it. That's how styles work. But obviously, you don't want to waste time every time you make a document, particularly if it's a similar or the same kind of document you've made before, recreating all of those styles. You don't want to do that. So that's why I've already created them and I've imported them, but that is how you do it. So let's get rid not only of that, but also in here, where was my new style? Where have you disappeared to? You were definitely in there. There's new style. Right click on that and delete that new style. Okay, I am seeing questions about Markdown. I'm going to take that question right now. You can leave it there for later as well, Mike. But I'm going to mention at the moment, Markdown, not good. Support for Markdown, non-existent. I can bring Markdown in, but it brings it in as Markdown with all the codes of Markdown. What you could do with that, this is really, really advanced, but you could do with it, is you could search and replace for the Markdown codes and replace them with the styles that you want. So if you bring in something and it's got headings in it, you could do a search and replace. The problem in Publisher with doing a search and replace is you have to search and replace one at a time. If you wanted to automate that, you could actually do it with a macro, photo supports macros. So there's a possibility you could do it that way, but it's very, very manual. What really needs to happen at this stage for Publisher, and given that it's 6 years old this year, about time it was there, is it could do with a companion app like InCopy. You've probably all heard of InDesign. InCopy is a text editor that edits in InDesign format. You can literally just copy from InCopy and paste into InDesign. It's fabulous. There is nothing like that for Publisher. That's another reason why I'm leaving the text until further down the line. So its support for Markdown, not great, but find and replace will do it. So if you've got maybe 3 levels of headings, pro tip with that is search for level 3 first, then level 2, then level 1, and replace it with a style. Right, let's get back to this. So I've now got my text styles. So I'm showing you that they are similar. I have a base style and I have my headings. My headings are separate and I have some step styles, which are, I make a lot of tutorials and they have steps in them. So I have formats for that. You'll see that I have those 3 groups. I also have in here some character styles. The difference between paragraph styles and character styles is paragraph styles by default apply to every character in a paragraph. The character styles only apply to the characters that you have selected. So for instance, if you want to make something bold, italic or underline, you probably don't want it to happen to the entire paragraph. You want more granular control, and that is when you would use a character style, and they are represented by the A character. Now, a second reason why I import my styles is you'll notice that my strong style here has a little character next to it. That is the shortcut key. It is Option, Command and B because strong is bold. With this emphasis here, what I could do with that is I could edit that. And in here, I can change, as I'm working with this, I can put in a shortcut key. You might be wondering how I know that. Yeah, there's a bug in this version. This text box here, with a little cross next to it, should have a label. And it should tell you that that's the shortcut key, but it doesn't. There's no way of bringing that back either. But if I go into there and I say I want this to be the shortcut, Option, Command and I, that's where you put your shortcut key. I'm sure they'll fix it at some point. It wasn't broken in the last version. It is in this one though. Now I click OK and that should come through to here and it's not doing. Why is it not doing? Oh, come on. That's also broken. But here's hoping it works, eh? But when I created these shortcuts for these styles, it was in a version that wasn't broken. Right, so if we look in the base style and we look in the body group under there, you can see that I've got 2 groups. I have body style primary and body style secondary. You should know from my colours that my text is going to be grey if it's primary, and if it's secondary, it's going to be white. But within here, I have a whole range of styles. This is my body primary style, and I have a shortcut key for that. I also have a shortcut key for the bullets and the numbers. The shortcut keys I've used are identical to my notes app of choice, which is Obsidian, which makes it an absolute doddle to style things. If I want a bulleted list, it's Option, Command and 8, and I know that. So I've taken the time and I've added these. Inside my secondary one, I've used the same numbers, but I've changed the shortcut to be Control, Option and the number. So I can fly through and apply styles to my text. That's why I keep them separate and then import them. So we now have all of the styles available. Still got no text in here, you'll see, but we are making progress, believe me. Now, the next thing to do is to think about the master pages that you'll need. Now, at the moment, I have one master page, which is Master A. And with this, I'm going to need 2 master pages. One that has the text frame aligned on the left and one that has it on the right. So I need to add a text frame. And I'm just going to add a text frame there. Now, I happen to know that this needs to be 140 millimeters wide. So I'll actually type in 140 and I'll move it across. Now, you might be thinking, what on earth is that flashing bar? This is something that trips people up as well. That flashing bar is the last style that I used, which was the new style. And even though I deleted the new style, it remembered it. It remembered the font, the size, the colour. It remembers it. That is not what we want here. But if I select that, what do I want? I want my body style. I want my body style primary. And I would format it like that. I do not want it italic, so take that away. Now I've got it the right format. You don't actually need to put any text in there, But what you don't want to do on a page-by-page basis is have to reapply that style every time. So if you get it right in your master page, that will ripple through. Okay, there we have one master page. What we don't have in this master page with the content aligned to the right is a footer at the bottom. So let's sort that out. So I'm going to put in here a text frame, and my text frame is going to go across the bottom. Let's have the height of that set to 8 or 9. We might even get away with 10. So let's make it 10. And what I need to do in there is to put in the page number. So I'm typing the word page. I do not want to type the actual number. I need to go to text and insert fields, and then I'm inserting a field for the page number. Remember, I'm editing a master page here. If you were manually editing a single page, you may choose to just put a page number in. But by using a field, it will automatically update, making it much quicker. So I'm going to say page number there. That's represented by a hash. That will update. So if I go into this page, you can see that's page 1 and that is page 2. The reason that that applied to these two pages is that master A is automatically applied to these two pages. But let's go back to the master, because that's not where that should be. It should be right aligned. It should also be a different size. But rather than fiddle with it, I already have a text style here. So if we look across to our text styles, now I know where I put them. You will not know where I've put them. You will put them where it makes sense to you. But for me, under body primary, I have footer primary. But notice that that also has a disclosure triangle. So I'll open that up and you can see inside there I have 3 formats for the footer text. Left, right and centre. And in this case, I want it aligned to the right. And there it goes. Now, notice here, let me zoom into this. If I start moving this, if I move that down a bit, notice it jumps. What's going on? It shouldn't be jumping like that. Or should it? Well, the reason it's jumping is the baseline grid. So if we turn the baseline grid on so we can see, this might explain, if you don't get the baseline grid, what's happening. It's jumping from one baseline to the next baseline. If you're okay with where that's placed, fine. If not, you can edit this text frame. I think that is probably going to be a little bit too close to the main text, which is going to be in this frame above it. So I might want that moving down a little bit, but I don't really want it moving down a whole line. What I would need to do is make sure that I have the text frame selected and then go to my text frame panel. If that's not showing for you, you need to go to Window and down to Text Frame, and you will see it. And one of the options you have in here is to ignore the baseline grid. Now, it hasn't made a jot of difference, or has it? It has made a fraction of a difference. It's now moved even higher, which is not where I want it. But by taking away the adherence to the baseline grid, what I can do is position this precisely where I want it. And you can now see it's not jumping at all. So if I want that just about there, I can do that. I get to decide exactly where that's going to be. So we've sorted that out. At the other end of this, I had my branding. So I'm going to move this so it's about halfway. And I'm going to add in another text frame. So let's draw in another text frame. It can touch that one. Over here, if I type something in, so my branding is going to be my name, you can see that it's now using a certain style. But it's not actually applied a style. So you can see at the top here, if we're in the page, we can see that we have a footer right primary colour style applied to it. This one, it looks the same, but it doesn't actually have a style applied to it. Now in this case, all I want that to be is my font, which was the one starting with a Z, Zapfino. So let's apply that. I could make a style if I wanted to. It's probably best practice too. I don't think I actually did for this. And what I want is that that lines up with that, which it does, getting there. This master page then had one more thing, and the one more thing was a line along the bottom. So I'm drawing, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to click and not drag. I'm going to move across here, and as I move, you can see that it highlights the edge of that text frame, and that is where I want it. Now, if you're slightly doing this, you may think, well, what's going to happen with that? Well, it's not going to be straight. What you can do with that is hold the Shift key down, or you can just actually click. So going from here across here, you can see it light up. First off, it's in amber when you're close and green when you're on it, and just click. Important at that point that you don't click anywhere else. If you do, you're going to start drawing a shape, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo up to that point and press the V key. At that point, I've moved back to the Move tool, and I have that line selected. Making sure I've got the line selected, it's the curve here. This is my frame text, this is my page number, this is my branding, that is my single line. We can't see it at the moment, it doesn't have a colour. But the colour I'm going to give it is Text Primary. And I want that on the outline, and I don't want a fill with it. Still, I'm not seeing anything, because I need to make that big enough so we can see it. Obviously, we don't need it that big, but let's have it maybe 1 point. So just moving it so it's 1 point, or you could type it in. Now I'm going to use a shortcut key, which is Control and W. And I do mean Mac users, Control and W. And that gives me a preview. So it takes away the blue outlines, and I can think, yeah, it does everything line up. That's absolutely fine. That's how I wanted it. So I have my first master page, and everything that's on there has come through to these 2 pages here, because that master is applied to them. Now I need another master page. I could start from scratch, but this one is so close to what I want, it's easier to duplicate it. So right click, duplicate. That gives me master B. You can name these if you want. So this one, I double click, right click on there and spread properties. I get a name in here on my label, and I can call it what I like. So this one would be right text, and the other one would be left text. Okay, so let's do that. This one I want to be the left text one. So label that left text. Obviously, it's identical at the moment, but it's really simple for me to edit this now. I would want this text frame to move to the left. I would want the line at the bottom to move to the left. Then I need to cross these. So this one should be over here. That one should be over there. But you can see, yeah, they're in the right place, but they're not right. This one, what I can do is just align that to the right. This one, don't just align it to the right or the left. Use the text style that we have, which is footer left. That way, if I update it, it will update all of them. Okay. Got a question there about subcategories in the text styles. Is it done when I initially created them? Yes, what I did was, instead of making a style that was to be applied, so a paragraph style or a character style, I created this, which is a group style. Now, group styles aren't just containers. So if you think about how your file system works on your computer, you have folders, and folders are not files. Folders are totally different. But in Affinity, although this is a group, which is very similar to a folder, it does have formatting of its own, and there is a reason for that. So if we go back to these footer ones, the base style in here, if I edit this base style and I look at the font, we can see that's where I've said the default font is Poppins at 12. And the colour would be in there as well. My grey colour would be in there. Because I set that at the base style, as long as I make no changes, all of the styles that are subordinate to the base style, and there's a lot of those, look at them, including these footer styles. So if we edit this one, it doesn't have a font colour, doesn't have a background colour, doesn't have a font, doesn't have a font size. It's all being defined somewhere else. And that somewhere else was my group style here, higher up. So the footer primary, all three of those footer blocks or styles that I will apply to my footer text, I want them to be 7 points. I don't define 7 points in centre, in left, in right. I do that at the highest level I can do that, which is my footer primary. And that way, if I handed this off to a client and they said, don't like the colour of the footer, don't like the size of the text in the footer, I would make those changes at the footer primary group level, and I wouldn't have to edit all three styles that are actually footer styles. So when you decide where you're defining part of your style, do it as high up the style chain as you possibly can. And those group styles, that's the function of them, and that's why my styles are in those groups. You will find certain categories like that. And how you know what something is in, this footer primary, that's not a style, is it? That's a group. Let's choose this, that one. That one. That one will do. Right, let's edit that. How do we know where that's getting everything from when it says no change, no change? In the style, it says based on. And based on is the next one up in the chain. In this case, it's the footer primary group. And you can choose what that's based on. It can be based on anything. But that is how you create the hierarchy that I've got. And that is why I would always have hierarchy turned on in here, because it's a visual clue as to what will happen and why certain things are happening. Right, so I've got my two master pages now. I've got right and I've got left. One of the very new features, if you're using the newest version, is that what you can do in here is right click on your master and apply it a colour as well. So if we wanted red to be on the right hand side and blue to be on the left hand side, we can do that. That puts a dot on the master pages, but it also puts a page stripe on the page as well, which is quite handy. Right, so we've now got all of the textiles, we've got the master pages, we've done the footers, we've done the page numbers, and we've done the branding. Fantastic. We're actually going to add some content. That's not bad, actually. It's under an hour, you know. Okay, so content. Well, this first page is, if you remember, it had a nice cover on it. I don't actually need to take away what I've got on here, but it doesn't make sense to have footers and text blocks when this is a cover and I don't need it. So one of the things I would do with this, I have two options. I can either choose to clear the master completely, or I could make a blank master. That would depend on how many pages you wanted to have blank, as to which you did. So clear the master. It takes away all of the content, and it also takes away the red stripe because it's now doesn't have a master page, and everything's gone. What I do need to do in here is to put a placeholder for my graphic. So I'm putting a picture placeholder on there, covering the entire page. Then I need my front cover, which is an image that I have. So I'm dragging and dropping in the front cover, and that is it. Now, if I hadn't have added that picture frame, it wouldn't have displayed it quite as well. And that's why I have put the picture frame on it. So it's better to have a picture frame ready in the right place at the right size, ready to put the graphic in. Once you've got that, you can then use the picture frame commands to do all kinds of things. You can scale it. Bigger, smaller, whatever you need to do with it. So I'm going to undo that, get it back to where we had it. But that's why I bother to put it in a frame. It means I can then do things with it. So we now have our cover page. Now, what should be on the next page? Could we start adding our content yet? No, we can't. Because down the line, once we've got all of our content in it, we're going to want a table of contents. So it makes sense to leave a page here ready so I can put my table of contents in it. I would probably put a note on this to say that this is for the table of contents. That will just remind me that that was what I intended to put on there. Make that a bit bigger. I could have a style for that that made the background yellow, and then I would instantly know it was a message to myself and nothing else. But that's what I would do, so I don't think once I start adding content, oh, don't need that, don't need it, can get rid of it. No, it needs to be there for the table of contents. Right, but finally, we are able to place some content. So I'm going to need a third page. So I'm clicking the Add Pages option, and I need to say, what master page do you need for this? Now, I added my content to the left-hand page. So I'm going to change that to choose left text. I want to add one page. I want it after page 2, which is my table of contents. And then you now have this new option, which is your spread wrapping, which is what you want to do with this. Now, I just want another page, and that's the default, flow pages. The other options for extending a spread and creating a new spread are for when you are working, usually for print, and you get these really glossy magazines and they've got fold outs inside them. That's the kind of thing it's talking about. You may use a spread for something like a trifold now that you can do it, but for what we're doing, it's just flow pages, go from one page to another. So the only change I made there was to say make it use the left master page and click OK. You can see we do have page 3. It's got the blue stripe on it, and there is the page. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to need to put my copy in it. Now, we've mentioned Markdown already. Oh, I wish we could use Markdown. Why they have not accepted that, I do not know. The copy that I have is, this is my introduction copy. So it's just plain text. I am going to have to style this myself. But at the moment, that is what we've got there. Notice that my bullets are proper bullets. This is because I copied and pasted this out of my finished file. I will show you what you need to do to get all the formatting correct in here. But that's the text that we're working with. So in here, I'm going to File. I could copy and paste it, but another option is to say Place. Then go and find my copy, and it's my introduction. And there it is. Notice it's done it again. It's got a mind of its own, hasn't it? What it's done is it's used the last style that I used, even though at the master page level, I told it to use body primary. But what it's done is it's used the footer left. Luckily, that is easy to fix. We go into here, we have our style. That was the footer, but this was our primary style and we didn't want it italic. Right, it doesn't actually look bad. The bullets, however, not good. But we have Start Smart in Scrivener. This is where I'm going to fold my styles up. This is where, because I created my shortcuts when it was working, I can now whiz through this and apply things really quickly. So if that were my heading 1, I did that with the shortcut key. Notice what happened over here. It opened up my headings group, my headings primary. There are my 6 headings. These are my shortcuts, and that was how I did it. If I want to style that with a 2, I use the shortcut for a 2, and there it is. So if you use Word and you use certain shortcuts, make them the same in here. It'll be easy. For me, I live in Obsidian, so my shortcuts in Obsidian are what I want to have replicated in here, and I've done exactly the same in Scrivener. If I want to apply a heading 3, the shortcut is the same, no matter what the application is. Now, the problem that I've got in here, these bullets are diabolical. Right, first thing is there's too much of a gap, the bullet's too small, and this last one, which wraps round, it's not wrapping correctly, it's wrapping right back to the margin. Now, this is easily solved, but I need to delete twice on each line to get rid of first the bullet and second the tab character that it has put in. I now know that there, down to ideas on the fly, should be bullets. Again, I have a shortcut key for that. Now they're bullets. And it has applied bullet 1 primary. That was the shortcut I used. Option Command 8, and it is now formatted. And the only other thing I need to do is that bit there, that's my name. I would change that to the brand font for my name and probably make it a bit bigger. I could create a signature style there, and if I did, it would probably have some spacing at the top. But there is the first text. We've actually got text in it. I'm going to save it at that point in creating, just in case everything crashes and burns. Right, now I need another page because I need the rest of the content. So I'm going to add one single page. Again, it's going to be left one page after page 3, flow pages. So OK on that. Now, what I'm actually bringing in here, I will show you the contents. It's the 7 secrets. This is it. There's quite a few lines of it. There's also spaces in there because what isn't in here, because it's a text file, there's no images. And I've got images to bring in as well. But that's the text that I'm bringing in. And obviously it's not going to fit in that box, is it? But what I'm going to do is File, Place. I'm going to choose my 7 secrets, open that, and it will add it all in. Notice again, it's used that other font. This is annoying, isn't it? But what I'll do with it is I'm going to apply the body primary to it because I need to do a lot of formatting for headings and other things manually anyway. So here is our first text, but it only goes up to the second thing where it says snapshots. So yes, what I could do in here is go in there and give that a heading 1. And as I'm looking down here, does it need anything else? Or these bullets need dealing with. And it's the same thing. I need to delete twice at the beginning of each line. This is why, wouldn't it be great if it could pass Markdown? Because I'm having to do this by hand. I'm making it faster because I know my styles and I know my shortcuts for my styles. But even so. Now, one thing I will show you at this point is the impact, before we do anything else, of the baseline grid. So I want you to focus on just this text here. And what happens to it when I change the baseline grid. So if I take that away, you can see it all bunches up and it just doesn't look nice. So my baseline grid is making that text look much better. I can show you that baseline. You can see where it's applying to. You can see it's got multiple spaces here, multiple baselines. It's got bigger space here, but all of that is intended. That is what I want it to look like. I don't want this and then to have to go in and start fiddling with line height and putting spaces before and everything. Just use a baseline grid and everything will line up to it. Right, that's the first bit done. Now, this snapshots section here should be at the top of a new page. So what I could do if I were doing it manually is make sure that I'm in the right place in terms of I'm to the left of that heading. And I could go and insert, I think that's document insert breaks, and this would be a next page break. But I don't want to do that because if I do that and I start making changes, all sorts is going to happen. The right way to do it is to make sure that my style, so that's a heading 1, remember. As I go into my style in here, you can see it tells me about this. It's going to use headings primary and the next. The body's this, but notice the next level is a heading 2 if I want that. And look what it says about start. When you apply this style, make sure that the text is on the next page. It's going to do it auto-magically for me. So, positioned in the right place, apply a heading 1 to it, and it's moved it to the next page. Obviously, the problem we have is there is no next page. We can see it, though, with this eyeball. If you make sure there's no line through the eyeball, you can see the next text in this flow. You can see it's there. It's just that there is no page to put it on. So I would have to create a new page. How many pages do I need? Well, I said there was 24 in this file. I don't want to be doing this manually. That would be hideous. So what I can do with the eyeball on or off, it does make no difference whatsoever. The triangle If I hold the Shift key down and click the triangle, magic happens. It adds in that next page for me and populates it with my text. But that isn't all it does. There's number 1. There is number 2. But look what else it's done. It added a page for all of the text, right up to number 7, which was the scratch pad. It has made all the pages I need. Right, so I'm going to go back to here. The first one was fine. There's the second one, that's fine as well. There is number 3. And I want that to also be a heading 1. I do that, it pushes it automatically to the next page. Obviously, I've got a lot of work to do with this one because there was a lot of images. These are actually captions for images, or they're headings. I think they're headings for another image. So if that was supposed to be on the next page, if I make that a 2 and that was a 2, I would be putting these on pages depending where the graphics were. But let's move down and find the next one. There's number 4. So again, if I just apply my heading 1 style, it will push it onto the next page. There's my 5. Apply a heading 1, it will move it down to the next page. There's number 5. There's number 6. So apply a heading 1. We've run out of pages. But that trick with this triangle, where you hold the Shift key down and push, and it makes any number of pages that you need, works irrespective of the fact we've already used it once. As long as there is an overflow of text, you can carry on using it. So there's number 6. Let's push that down to number 7. And you can see, if we go in here, it has actually added that to 7. And we're done. We've got everything there. Everything is on its own page. Now, what I'm going to do to demonstrate how to create the layout here is I'm going to use number 2, which was the snapshots. I have the text in there, but obviously it needs formatting. Now, we've seen in here, that's how you format the bullet points. You need to take out the bullets that are already there. Alternatively, in terms of speeding up your workflow, what I mentioned earlier in relation to the find and replace, you could search for a code that you have put in. So I could put there bullet with a character, so bullet underscore at the beginning of every one of those. And I could search and replace for the word bullet underscore, remove it, and apply the bullet style. But again, you would have to do that deliberately. So I'm showing you how to do this manually, but if you choose to automate that, you can do that. Being honest, it would be far better to have an editor that understood Markdown. That's the answer to it. But at the moment, that's your option. So I've done the bullets on that one. What I'm going to do on this one is actually finish the whole thing. Should the section titles be heading 2? They might need to be. I can't remember what I did with them, but they're pushing down. It would depend. I think for what's in here, I'm happy that they're heading 1s. And I do have some other headings in here, but trust me, the table of contents will work. It's one I did earlier. It will definitely work. So what I'm doing when I'm looking at this, I'm looking for things that need to be styled. At the moment, all of this is my primary styling. If you're wondering why I have primary and secondary, if I chose on a particular page, so say this one, that I wanted to have a dark background, and I could do that really simply just by putting a shape on it. I could just put a shape there in the background and change the background colour. I may then need this to be a different colour. So if we go in here, I can show you this. Let's just put on here that. And at the moment, there is probably nothing in it. Should we make it something hideous? Let's not make it too hideous. Right, let's do that. All right, and what I need to do with that in there is put it behind here so we can see it. This that I'm doing, I'm selecting that text. And what I may choose to do with that, at the moment, all of this is my body primary. Right, what I'm going to do with that is change the text style to, it's 9, I think, isn't it? It's that one. That is my heading, my secondary. And you can see it makes it white. So that's why I have light and dark. Now, I did at one point have them called light and dark. And then I thought, but in some documents, light might be the primary. So I have primary and secondary. How I would change that globally is that's why I have global colours. If I wanted to change my text primary to be white, I would change it up here and all of the styles it would ripple through. But that's just an aside. That's why I've done that. What I'll do here is get rid of that. I'm loving the comment from 2 steps away who says, wow, that's amazing. What was amazing? Tell me what. Need to know which bit you enjoyed. Right, so I'm looking at... Oh, right. Oh, right, got it. It's literally just come through here. Excellent. Right, so what I've got here, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, is there anything that needs formatting? And there is. Using View Enter Full Screen needs to be bold. Now I'm going to apply bold to it. There you go. It's turned to bold. And that needs to be bold. So let's turn to that as well. Now, you may think, as I'm clicking in here, that that is bold. The bold button is pushed in at the top. It's bold. Let me just take another bit of this. Let's say corkboard view. And this time, instead of using my shortcut key to make it bold, I'm just going to click and make it bold. They're the same, aren't they? They are the same. This is bold. It says it's bold. This is bold. Only they're not the same. It's not all equal. When I applied the bold to these 2 bits, I used my shortcut key, which applied the strong style. This corkboard view, I just pushed the bold button. Not the same. Here's why. If I go into my Edit Strong, you can see there's my shortcut key. There's my characters. Here's my styles. There's my colours. Let's say that the bold, you get the client that doesn't like it bold and wants it a different colour. You can do that. So if I go in here and I change this to a lovely orange. Oh, we're going to need it more orange than that. Much deeper. There we go. Now my bold is orange. But guess what? My bold isn't. Only the bold style is orange. And that is why I use this for bold and not this at the top for bold, because I can't control that. I can control a style. So that's why I've done that. Just something to be aware of. Right. Catherine, I will show you how to create and import styles again at the end, if that would help you. Might make a note of that. Okay, so I've explained the bold stuff. I'm looking at the rest of this. There are 2 things that this page needed. So let's have a look at the preview. And it was in here, snapshots. I had an image on the right hand side and I had a pull quote, and that's what I want it to look like. It needs to look like that. Right, that's what I want it to look like. Let's go back to Publisher. Let's do the pull quote first, because that's such fun. Notice the sarcasm. Right, what I'm going to do first is make sure that I've copied what I want the text to be in the pull quote. How you do a pull quote? You need a text frame to put it in. So I'm putting a text frame there. I happen to know that 40mm square works well. So I'm going to make it the size that I need it and then place it sort of where I think I might need it. Clicking in it, I'm going to paste in plain text. It's pasted it as plain text. You're wondering, aren't you? Where is it? Right, couple of reasons with what's going on there, I think. This annoys me intensely in Publisher. It's using the last thing that I used in terms of style, which was white text. It'll all sort itself out. It will. But what I'll do, just so we can see it, right, I'm going to put a colour in so we can see it. Right. Text for pull quote. Why on earth have you copied that as well? Right. It should just literally be, it's pasted all kinds of stuff in here. Why doesn't this work when I want it to work? I'm going to copy it again, just making sure I get just the text I want. Right, let's paste it in there again. That's actually what I want. And again, it's formatted completely incorrectly, but the good news is that I have a style for pull quote. This is not a style that Affinity Publisher creates automatically. So if I show you what this pull quote will look like, it's a pull quote. It is based on Body Styles Primary, so it will be grey. That's why it's based on it. I've not changed anything in there, apart from the size. It's 9 points in here. But the big difference, because it's a pull quote, is my decoration. I am going to have a line above it and a line below it, and it is going to happen automatically. I am not going to need to sit there and squidge the text down to the right width and then manually put 2 lines on it. That way madness lies. Plus the fact, if you change the text, you would have to reformat it. So everything that is going to happen to this when I apply the pull quote style is coming from the style. Apart from the fact it shouldn't be that colour. Crying out loud. Well, it isn't bold. What I'm going to do with it is I am going to apply pull quote and clear the character styles. That should sort it out. So because this was the last character style we used, that was automatically applying. This is annoying. It's not just me, is it, Mike? No, it's not. It's annoying when it does that, but that's how you do it. So I right-clicked and said, clear the character styles. That dealt with it. And there we have it. Now, at the moment with that all looks a little bit tight. So what I would be doing with this to make sure it looked all right is I would go back to my text frame, and I think I would be ignoring the baseline grid, which is making it too tight in this case. And this is totally independent of everything else anyway, so I can ignore that baseline grid. If you wanted to ignore the main baseline grid, but you did want this to align to a baseline grid, just not the main one, you do have that option at the bottom. You can create an independent baseline grid, and this would allow you to have that positioned in any way you choose. I don't need it for this. That's fine. It looks fine to me. I will now use the Control and W to turn it off so you can see that that is what that looks like when it's formatted. Now, one more thing you might want to do with that, I'm not going to waste time with it here because this is a different type of layout, but if this pull quote, being a pull quote, is going to relate to this somewhere. So this text inside Scrivener is somewhere in here. Trust me, can't quite see it for looking at the moment, but it's somewhere in here. If you want this pull quote to always be in a certain place based on where the text is in here, then you can use pinning to do that. You can pin, and you can then pin where that goes. So what that looks like is that is pinned to the second paragraph here. If that second paragraph moves, so will the pull quote. I don't need that here. It's going to make no difference whatsoever, but that is what you could do if it does matter to you. The next thing I need, and the last thing on this page, is the image. So I'm going to put an image placeholder there. I again know what size that needs to be. She said, and promptly lost it. 79 by 163. And its position was 121 and 104. So that's the place that I actually had it. Now at the moment, I've got my placeholder. You may be wondering, if I click away, I've got a border on it, but I don't have a cross in it. I don't have a cross in it because I used Control and W. Have a cross in it so I know it's there. Make sure that you have Control and W so you've got that turned on. Control and W is this option up here, which is toggle preview mode. You are toggling a preview of that. Right, I need my image in there. Now the image I actually have for this is far bigger than I actually need. I will show you the image. That is what the image looks like. There's far too much white space in that image. Don't need it like that at all. But the right-hand side of it is what I need. So I can drag and drop that into here. And it doesn't rescale the frame. It leaves it the size that I created. And because it's a picture frame, I get these controls. And I can move this across. So I can bring that in. Now, obviously, that is still too small and I really don't need this half of it. I have at the bottom a way to scale it. Unfortunately, it scales from the centre. So I'm going to eyeball it a bit and then bring it back in. And I still have a little bit too much. So I would make that still a little bit bigger. And then bring that back in again. That's not bad. It probably needs to be a fraction bigger, but not too big or we'll start losing stuff. That's just about right. So I've used an image that is far too big, but works well here. Still have a problem though, don't I? Which is, there's my image, that's where I said I wanted it, and the text is behind it. What needs to happen is the text in that text frame needs to wrap around the image in this picture frame. To do that, you do not apply it to the text. You apply it to the image. So with the image selected, you would go up here to your text wrap options. You have quite a few text wrap options. At the moment, none is applied, and that's why it's going behind it. Because this is a square image, I could choose to jump. Jump would not be good. It would push the text down to, from above it down to below it, and leave this as a gap. So jump, not good in this regard. Square and tight will give me exactly what I want, either of them, because the image is square. So it doesn't matter which one I use, but it would matter which one I used if your image was not square. Right, so I'll choose square and it will push that into the right place. The other option that I can choose is I'm going to link these and then push this up to 3mm. And it will make sure that no matter where that is, there will be a 3mm gap all the way around it. Like that. Right, why didn't I crop the image first? Well, I could have done. That would be perfectly right. Maybe I could even have taken the image where I only took part of the screen and not the whole of the screen. What I was actually doing with that single image was using it in multiple places, though, to show different things. And I could do that with a single image just by cropping it at this point. So a soft crop rather than actually cropping the image. And that is how I laid out the rest of it. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to, I'll show you a couple more things, 2 more things, and then I'm going to switch documents because I'm not going to waste your time by going through 24 pages and formatting them all. You've seen the basics of how to format one, you format them all. What I will do is show you at this point, though, this is the last page of content there. What I can do with this, can you pin the image like you pin the quote? Yes, you can do that. So let's bring that in. You select what you want to pin. You hit the pin icon and it automatically places that somewhere. And you move the pin. So if you want that to move with the beginning of that, yes, you can do that. So you can pin text to text, you can pin images, all kinds of things. So if you do want that, what I would do with that is make sure that if I've got a caption underneath it, that I'm making sure that the caption and the thing are moving together. To do that, I put it in a group. But if I want it with some text, then I would just pin it like that. And you can move the pin anytime you like, just by moving it like that. Okay, so I'm moving to the end of the document. I have back matter to put in here. So I'm going to put in another page. I want it left text, 1 page, after page 11, flow this. Okay. Here's my page. This is not linked to this. So if I put some images in, the reason there's 11 pages here is I had 13 pages of images. So if this moves, it's not going to go into here because this is not linked to this frame in here. You can see that with this blue line. It's telling you that that is linked to that frame. But you'll notice there is no link from here to this frame. This is totally independent. That's because I want to place a file in it, which is my About Elaine. So put that in. What on earth has it done there? I really have no idea. It's put the rest of it down there. Right? But I can actually do that. So that should be a 1. And the rest of it should be there. I think what's happening with that is it's got my heading 1 applied to it. And it shouldn't have. So if I apply my body primary to it, it'll put it in the right place. It looks like the whole thing has got a H1 applied to it, which is ludicrous. So let's apply, we've got some troubleshooting to do here, haven't we? Let's apply the body primary and then go back and make that a H1, and that will sort it out. These, of course, need the same treatment as all of the other bullets, but I will show you something with these. So let's select those, apply the bullet style, but these need to be links. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to apply a link. I did that with Command and K. Right, what type of link do I want? Well, I want an external one to a URL. That is where I want it to be, give or take, but for reasons best known to themselves, they miss the S out, which causes havoc. And I tend to make that lowercase because that sometimes causes havoc. So that's where I want it. And this is where I get to tell it what I want this to look like, because there's no point in a PDF having a link in it if people don't know that they can click it. So there is a character style. It's there in the defaults as well, which is hyperlink. All of your character styles are listed, but this one is hyperlink, and I click OK. That underlines it, and it makes it a nice bluish colour, so people would know that they could tap on that or click on that. If you try doing this in a new file, it will not look like that. Shall I show them that now? Yes, you want to know, don't you? Once I've tantalised you, you want to know. Right, what I'll do is make a new file. I will put a text box on there and I will put in my URL. So elainegiles.co.uk. Right, not really concerned about what this looks like, apart from I did want it to be a bullet. So these aren't my styles, these are the defaults. I'm going to have to make it a bullet like that. And I want that to be a link. So Command and K. I'm going to make sure that that is actually right. I have a shortcut for that. So same URL, same character style. Okay. Right. 1, the blue is in your face hideous. 2, the bullet changed. Didn't want the bullet to change. Right. If you look at what I did in mine, the bullet stayed grey and the colour was much nicer than the in-your-face click there. So that's what the default will do. Right, how I did that was I found the hyperlink style, which is in here, and I edited it. The first thing I did was change the colour. Notice that my hyperlink colour is defined as a global colour and it's defined within the style. If I want to change that hyperlink colour, best place to do it is as a global colour. But changing it in either place would actually work. Global colours are better. Do global colours. Right. The other thing that I did was in here. Where's my list? Where's the list? How I changed it was I got it to apply in one of these somewhere. Oh, where's it gone? How I did it was I told it that my hyperlink style, I wanted it not to make the bullet the blue colour. And to do that, I had to tell it what colour I wanted it to be, but not in here. Now, the reason that you don't do it in your hyperlink style is not every hyperlink would have a bullet. But if it does have a bullet, don't make it blue. Don't make it the colour of the hyperlink. That's what I needed to do. So what I did in here was, that's why I have bullet colour primary and bullet colour secondary. And all they do is one thing, which is in my colour, it makes it grey. If I change that to a different colour, so if I change that from here to what's hideous, we'd notice that one. Look what happens behind. They're now red. If that is what you want with your bullets, fabulous. That's how you do it. But what I wanted with my bullets, if I went in there and took that away entirely, it would be the same colour as the link. But if I wanted it, you could make it the hyperlink if you wanted, but I wanted it to be just grey. I thought it looked ridiculous. So I did that for all of these on the last page. And then finally, I added one more page, which is added a page, one page. I actually, in the masters in here, I don't need one. So I'm going to say no master. That gives me the back page. I then need to put a placeholder for my back cover. So there is my placeholder. Go and get the image, which is in my images. No, it's not. It's in my covers folder. There's the back cover. Drag and drop that in. That is my back cover done. I then put my link on it and other stuff. But at that point, it's almost ready. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, because I didn't format everything in here, I have another copy of the file where everything is formatted, but there is no... oh, actually, I do need to show you one more thing at this stage. I do, I'm lying. Right, if we look at this, I have my table of contents. This is saying page 2. But it shouldn't be. It should be a Roman numeral 1. And this one, which is my content, should be page 1. And it's not. It's 3. Oh dear. Right, you fix that with Window, Section Manager. And you add some sections to your document. So I've got one section at the moment. I'm going to add another one. And this one now says pages 1 and 2. Now, I don't want it to do that. This one should start on page 2. But it should start from the number 1 because it's the front matter and it should be a lowercase Roman numeral. I'm actually going to say this is front matter and that way I know exactly what it is. This one I'm going to call cover, which is what it is. And there is no page number on that one. This front matter at the moment only lasts for one page. It's going to have the table of contents on it. Notice this says start on page 2. Why is this saying page 2? I want to restart at 1. Why are you misbehaving? I have clearly said that. Do we have an errant page somewhere? It's saying page 1 in here. Not to worry, I will carry on. I'm going to create another one. So this is just one page here. This one is now the first page of my content. This one I also want the page numbering to restart at 1. And I want it to be in number style. And that way, as I go through it, that should be correct. This one, I see what's wrong. Right, I was on the wrong page. Operator error, that would be me. So it's saying page I. I may decide I don't want the page reference there, but you can see the page numbers are working. And they're working because I've created these sections. And it's easier, you will have one section to start with and then to create the second one and the third one. This one I'm going to call content. And then I can tell by looking at them what they are. And if you need this bigger, you can make that bigger. But that is your section manager and how you deal with that. So if I go through these pages now, that one is page 2, which is correct. And we've got 3 and 4 and 5 and all of the page numbers are correct. Okay, I'm going to save that file. I'm going to open up this other file, which is, why aren't you in there? Or where have I put you? Oh, there it is. Right. It's exactly the same, but you'll notice that I've put table of contents goes here. So the only difference between this and the other one that we've been working with is that I have gone through all this and formatted it. So we do have, up there, we have a heading 1. That is a heading 2. As we come down to here with these are heading 2s as well. Now, it's important when you style your headings that you do use heading styles. If you don't use heading styles, then when you come to make your table of contents, it will be blank. So I've put in here, table of contents goes here. So I can get rid of that text. And because everything is styled perfectly here, I can simply go up to text and down to table of contents, insert table of contents. And it will put in my table of contents. Let's have a look at that. These are my heading 1s. So this is my contents. That's a heading 1. That's a 2. back to a 1, a 1, a 1, and then we've got 2s. Notice these have no numbers on them. The page numbers are right aligned. It's using the actual page numbers that I defined in the sections here. So we have a Roman numeral of 1, and then we have 1 and 1 and 2, etc. Now, by default, if you were to do that, it would not have the dot leaders on it. But when you have your table of contents, you may or may not want dot leaders. But if you do, then you're going to have to edit a style. You cannot edit this style unless you can see it. And the only time you can see it is when you are in the table of contents. So I have clicked in the table of contents. That shows up over here where it says TOC1. Now, TOC1 is referring to the entire table of contents. So all of that, why are you not? There we go. All of that is TOC1. All of it. And that is what is referred to in the table of contents over here. I only have one table of contents, but you can have multiple in a document. So the style uses the name of the table of contents and then adds to it the heading styles. Now, how does it know what to include? And that's controlled by the style names in the table of contents panel. The ones with the tick next to them are in use. So, your text styles format your headings. Your headings, because they have a text style of heading applied, are being pulled through to the table of contents. That is applying the style that you see over here. So if I were to edit my heading 1, we have down here, in tab start, it's somewhere in here. Disappeared, but it's somewhere in there. This is where you tell it that you want your tab leaders, your dots. Also critical, because your text styles apply to your headings are pulled through to the table of contents, everything is connected, including over here when you include them. These will be used when you export this to a PDF. This is what creates the outline, and if this is misformatted, that will be misformatted too. So you need to make sure in here with your burger menu that you have an indent level on it, that you tell it what level it is. So there's this. This is saying at the moment, isn't it? It's not, is it? Giving me an include the page number and don't include the page number. But that is where you would control that. I find it strange that you don't set the level in the style. You actually set it in the table of contents. But once you've done that, you are ready to produce your PDF output. So now I've got my table of contents. I'm going to save the file and I'm going to go to File and Export. I'm making sure I've got PDF selected. This is also critical. If you're in here, you have presets. So first of all, you choose your file format. Then you choose your settings and you have presets. And mine has defaulted to PDF digital high quality. You'll also notice here that there are a range of others, including 2 at the bottom. One is the print company I use and the other is for when I send stuff to Manchester United to be printed. These are custom. I have created them. Both of them are for print. So it would be needing a bleed and it would be needing CMYK and it would be needing printer's marks and other kinds of stuff. But for this file, you'll find by default for print is selected. Don't do that. Not if you're making a PDF. I know you can, but don't do that. If you choose anything other than digital, so one of these 2, so I'm going for high quality, you choose anything other than those and your hyperlinks will not be clickable. And you will be tearing your hair out wondering why. That's why. So that's something to consider. If you need to make changes, you can. So you can start with high quality and then maybe downsize the images to 150 or do whatever else you want with it. You could do that. But start with 4 digital. if you want to be absolutely certain, as you look down here and you see all of your options, you've got compression and compatibility and all kinds of stuff. But notice there are two that make it interactive. Include hyperlinks and include bookmarks. So you could start with a print layout and then put a tick in these boxes. I find it easier to start with digital and make sure that the tick remains in those two boxes. Then I would export it. So I don't want those in thumbnails. I want them over here. Why are you not doing that? Oh, you're misbehaving. Fair enough. Let's get to projects, polish page, data. Right. So this is what I'm producing. That's the name of the file. I don't need that on the end, but that is the name of the file that I want, and save that. Depending on how many pages you have, depending on the quality and depending on the settings you choose, this can take anything from like a couple of seconds to 20-30 seconds. I do have a very fast machine. Don't be surprised if it takes a couple of minutes. Right, having done that, I am going to open that file again. So the one in the background was the one we started with. I'm going to close that now and bring this one in. That's really interesting. That hasn't worked properly. Don't you love it when that happens? Okay, let's use this one that I had before that did work properly. Right, I think what happened was when I deleted the table of contents, it lost its little mind. But this is what would happen if I had done it correctly. Right, so we do have our outline over here. We do have all of our content. And if we move right down to the end, this is clickable. I didn't underline that. I made an exception with that. But in this one, oh God, where is it? I have my clickable links, and you can see that my bullet points are grey. And if I click these, it will take me out to them. So they are clickable inside my PDF. And my thumbnails should have come through as well, which they did. There we go. Right, I'm going to do a quick check on my list. That was it for what I intended to show. So I'm hoping that you've put questions in. If you haven't up to now, now is the time to put the questions in. And there was one more thing that I said I was going to show, but I'm going to show that after I've wrapped up, because some people might want to head off. There's no accounting for taste, is there? Right, that's what I demonstrated the creation of. That is the link for where you can get it. Mike will paste the link into the chat. I will put the link into the description. But if you want a QR code, that is the QR code for it. If you have enjoyed it, if you have learnt anything, please give the video a thumbs up. It apparently makes a difference with YouTube, but I'm fast losing patience with YouTube, I'll be honest. You could also hit that subscribe button, and that way you will get notification when I go live. Also, after the event, can't do it right now, unfortunately, but after the event, you can leave comments. So if you do have questions or comments after the event, leave a comment. That way, YouTube knows that people are watching it. Now, if you weren't interested in the Smart Start PDF, but you would like to be on my newsletter, then you can do that as well. Just go to elainegiles.com/VIP. There may be a free gift if you do. Just saying. But that free gift, you will have that free gift if you've downloaded the Smart Start. And I would like to say thank you for being with me. You could be many, many places on a Saturday afternoon, apparently, but you have been with me, and I very much appreciate that. So what I'm going to do now is do say hello to me on any of the socials. You'll notice I don't spend much time on Twitter anymore, but I do spend time on Blue Sky. So follow me on Blue Sky. And what we're going to do now is head into Q&A. That's good. I've got Mary Had a Little Lamb there, Mike. In our testing. That's grand. Right. I've put the link up from Mike. So what I'm looking for now is questions. Now, what I'm going to do is I saw something eons ago that I'm going to put on there. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, have I gone past it? Oh, no, I don't think I have. I'm scrolling through all of my comments here so I can focus one up here. So bear with me while I do that. I think surely it's there. Oh, yeah, there it is. That's the one. Right. Thank you, Jonathan. Much, much appreciated. Love having us back on air. I would say we love to be back on air, but YouTube is not making this easy. They are not making this easy for us, trust me. But thank you very much. That is much appreciated. So, Jonathan also says the Scrivener video last week was brilliant. Jonathan's going to write a book. Oh, can't wait for that. Can't wait for that. Is this going to be like, oh God, what's that guy called? Oh, the one that writes a series. Well, there's Judge Rinder. Is it going to be like Judge Rinder? Because I know you read Judge Rinder. And there's another guy. Steve. Is it Steve something? The American one. Can't remember his name for the life of me, but I've read quite a few of his books. You recommended it. Oh, so that's very exciting. Do let us know. You probably have questions as well. And Mish has been using it all week long. Fantastic. That is great. I do love Scrivener. I must admit, the last thing I use it for is actually writing books. But that's just me. I think it would be amazing if you were writing a book. I remember when your mother wrote her book, Mike, and she was using Word.
She was.
Yeah, I sat there and I thought, what I'm going to have to do with this is bite my tongue, because I thought I could mention it, but then you would be on support for the rest of your natural life, wouldn't you? So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Excellent. Right. Ooh, Jonathan's spilled the beans on the title. I'm liking that, Foreman of the Jury. I will say, Jonathan, Foreman, or should it be four-person? What do they say these days? Used to be foreman in my day. Not sure now. Right. I know what it was. It was the created styles, wasn't it? You want to see that again. So I will go through that again. Might still got a note of that, I think. I'm going through these comments here, so hopefully. So this was one, which was the subcategories. The subcategories are created. I tend to do it using groups. But you can make one style a sub-style of another. You don't need to use groups to create the hierarchy. Which way you would choose depends on how you're actually doing it. I use both ways depending on what I'm doing. Right. Keep going, keep going. So it was this one, wasn't it? You're still wondering how to create and import back your own style, so I will show you that. Right. There's one I missed. It didn't have a Q. Right. What is the best way to have syntax highlighting the code? Now, was this code... What was this? Was it code in a document?
I don't know.
Can you give us a little bit more information on that? Was it... If I was including code in my document and I wanted it to be syntax highlighted, unfortunately it doesn't do that. Depending on what I was doing, honestly, I'd probably put my code in Markdown format in Obsidian and take a screenshot and put the screenshot in there, because Obsidian would format the code for me with a distinct set of colours. You could format it, if it is code you're talking about, you could format it manually, but it's messy. It's messy. It could be done, but it would be messy. But give me a little bit more information on that. Right, I'm working through these. We've answered all of those. Right, what's this one here? It was really interesting. Thanks, I'm a newbie to Publisher and GTP. Can a newbie ask a question? Of course you can. What's the difference between pages and spreads? Okay, pages are individual pages. Spreads are made up of individual pages. So if you think of a magazine and you open it, it's sort of 10 pages in, what you're looking at is 2 pages, and that's a spread. It's 2 separate pages, but the 2 pages together are a spread. What they've added to 2.6 in Affinity Publisher is the ability to create multi-page spreads rather than just 2-page spreads. So if, like I talked about these magazines like Vogue and stuff like that, back in the day when I worked in a news agency, I used to hate it when a magazine came in like that, because they wouldn't stack up properly. They'd put like a free perfume in the middle, and it would be on a fold-out page. It was hideous. But that is what they do. So now what you can do is to create a spread that has more than 2 pages. And that could be like a fold-out on the left, a fold-out on the right. It could be like a 3-page fold-out that folds out towards the right. You can make all of those now. I don't think too many people would be doing that in terms of a magazine unless they were having it printed. It doesn't really work too well digitally. What you may want to use spreads for now, which you didn't used to use them for, is things like a trifold mailer or something like that. You could use a spreads for that now. But that's the difference between them. Okay, moving down. Hope I make a video on how to import Markdown and change the style on it. I could do that. I find that just so annoying. It's like, well, you know, I could make a video on that. People might like to see that. The problem I've got with it is I keep thinking the second I do it, they'll make a parser to pass Markdown. Maybe I should do it just for that reason. What do you reckon, Mike? You know, like the toilet trick with football. If you take a quick toilet break, your team score.
Yeah, it didn't work this week.
No, it didn't work this week. And, you know, bless him, he tried, but they got beat in the cup final, so he's not a happy boy. Maybe if I did a video, they would bring out a way to do it. They don't actually seem interested. They really don't seem interested in people's workflow in terms of who doesn't write at least some Markdown these days. Markdown is like the format. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why I rely on Obsidian quite a lot, because in Obsidian Obsidian is native with Markdown, but I can go into Obsidian, I can copy it as HTML and just paste it as HTML. It's fantastic. So what Obsidian lets me do is have Markdown and then take it out as RTF, which Publisher can read. The problem with using something like RTF is that the styles still wouldn't be applied properly. The styles are fantastic, but there isn't really a good way to apply them, a quick way to apply them, unless your text is manually formatted inside Publisher, which is, no, it needs something like InCopy. I could certainly show you how to go about doing that. How long that would take you would depend on how many styles you've got in there. If we think about Markdown, there's not actually that many. So it might be faster than I think. So I'll certainly put it on the list. Okay, Eva says that was one great lesson again, as usual. Thank you very much. As does Jammy. Excellent. Oh, and isn't Jammy a good boy? Look at that. He'll leave a comment too. Love comments. You know, you see the view count going up. I think that Scrivener once had like 700 views and 6 comments. Come on, try harder, please. Okay, we've got one here about photo book. You're planning to make another photo book. It'll help stop you making mistakes and the same mistakes. Yeah, this is the problem. If you do take the time, like I said at the beginning, it took me 47 minutes to get to the point of putting the first word in the file. But because I took those 47 minutes, and it wouldn't need to take you anything like 47 minutes if you've made a template. So once you've done it once, like I have, make a template of it, and then it would take you 2 minutes. But once you've done that, you can then concentrate on your content without thinking, why is it doing this and why is it doing that? And the number one question is, you know, I've applied this style, why is the text orange? Because that was what you used last time, and it's just applied it. So what you need to do is override that. You are overriding things a lot of the time. But if you are familiar with your text styles and you have shortcuts to apply them, it's a doddle. It's really, really quick. You don't have to keep navigating that styles panel. You can just use your shortcuts. But remember, at the moment, there's a bug in it and the heading is missing from the shortcut option. But good luck with that. Thank you, Tracy. Excellent. Glad that you enjoyed it. Yes, Mary had a little lamb. It was a good job that wasn't any worse, wasn't it, Chammy? We were testing and that was supposed to have been deleted, but it didn't, so there you go. It managed to keep it. It's putting it. We're with a new app. We were with a new app because we had a calamity, didn't we? Not a quick behind the scenes. The app we were using and have been using for 3 years, I started it up, I updated it, everything was fine. I set everything up in it, all of the views, the questions, the posters, the lot. Press the go live button in a test on the Friday night, wouldn't work. Wouldn't go live. There was no persuading it whatsoever. So it was like, what do we do now? Luckily, we have 2 alternatives. The funniest part of this is that the 2 alternatives, which are our backups, we pay for. The main one is free, and we prefer it. Anyway, that wasn't working, so we needed to go to the backup. So I went to the first backup, got it up. Oh, I didn't even have it installed. So I installed the backup. There we were. It sort of worked. We used that one last week. Wasn't at all bad. But then there was something that I couldn't do, and I needed to go to the support. And it wouldn't log me into the support. So I needed to put in a support ticket to tell them I couldn't log into support. And you can't put a support ticket in unless you log in. And I'm like, really? I'm paying for this. And it wouldn't log me in. I managed to get a support ticket through to them. That was a week and a half ago, wasn't it? Still waiting. So we turned to our third and final option, and that's what we're using. So that's why we had to test it, and I've got windows all over the place, and it's just about hanging on. Right. Thank you, Karen. Glad you enjoyed it. More useful information. You can never have too much information. And 2 steps away, enjoyed the presentation. So great. Right, I will do the creating styles. I will. I'm just wandering down here and making sure everybody is heard. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed it. And Mish enjoyed watching it too. Oh, look at Tracy. Tracy's run through her data. What have you done with Mr. T? Is he asleep somewhere? Is it siesta time? How have you managed it? Oh, Karen enjoyed Scrivener. Glad you enjoyed that. The two work really well together, but you do have that problem taking things from Scrivener into Publisher. That yes, Scrivener can make Markdown and it can make RTF and it can make Word files, but it can't natively make a Publisher file. And Publisher refuses point blank to read anything other than a Publisher file. They really do need to do more talking to each other. Right, keep going here. Right, when formatting the bullet styles, is there also an option to size the bullet? Yes, there is. You can format the bullet any way you like. Charmaine is liking the free gift. It's amazing. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. When are we next going live? I don't know. I don't know. Is Saturday and Sunday a good day for everybody? Because I get lots of snotograms, don't I, about people not being able to make it. Which, you know, I can make it. If I'm here, you've got to turn up. But when I know, you will know. Make sure you subscribe to the VIP list. Okay, we have a question. How do I make my PDF file smaller? Client's email system keeps rejecting it, saying it's too large, they don't like zips. Okay. We can do that as well. Let me just check the rest. Kim, you are very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. And have we got another question there? Oh, we do have another question. No queue though. How do I convert my Publisher file to Word? Have you got these lined up, Mike? And that way I can switch back to the view and show everybody everything.
Yeah.
Jammy's enjoying the comments. What? Even the Mary Had a Little Lamb one? Oh. It's not a new app, Tracy. It's an app that's been around for a while. The reason we weren't using it, it wasn't native on Alpha Silicon. So I've got these 3 that I'm juggling now. So you let me know which one you prefer. Technically, you shouldn't see much of a difference apart from the comments. So I'm thinking for the comments that you like that. So we'll probably stick with that. Right.
Catherine's clarified something to do with the question.
So for clarification on the question, I know how to create styles. I don't know how to export them to import them back in every project or another computer. Right, okay. No problem. I've got another. I will show you that right now. Last comment from Tracy. If you think I'm trying to pronounce something in Catalan, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. No, but fine, excellent.
Just say siesta.
Siesta. But it sounds like Fiesta, and we use that on.
We do.
We do on our chat, don't we? And we got a Matt Bites chat coming up, so don't forget that. Isn't that a week on Monday?
Is it a week on Monday? Yeah.
It's bank holiday, so it's a week. Is it a week on Monday or 2 weeks on Monday? Mike's about to check, but we do have a sort of marooned on Mac Bites. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick out of this and I'm going to start. I've got 3 questions.
It's the 9th, isn't it?
It's the 9th.
Yeah.
So it's 2 weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, not long. I'm going to start with the styles one, and then I'm going to make sure that I've not missed anybody's. So I'm going to start with the styles one. So what I am going to do why are you doing that? Is I'm going to go back to my main screen, which has got the final file on it, but I'm going to go back to this one, which is that the final file that I created? I think it is. But it's styles, so it doesn't matter. Okay, this file that I have here has styles in it. You've seen them, they are over here. You also know if I create a new file, it has a totally different set of styles over here, like this, that I then deleted. Now, how I change these styles, you cannot export files, text styles. If you go in here, you have the import option, you do not have an export option. That's because there is no file format that supports styles alone. You might as well just use an Affinity Publisher file. So this is what I would do if I was setting this up, and I have set this up somewhere and I don't for the life of me know where the file is, or I would show it to you. So this is how I would set it up from scratch if I were doing what you want to do. This file happens to have my styles in it that I want. So this file is called talk at the end. This is just a new file that has styles in it I don't want. So I'm going to delete all the ones I don't want to leave me with no styles. You said you know how to create styles, so I created the styles in this file here. So it's the talk file. This one has no styles in it. I'm going to import them. I don't need to export them from anywhere. All I need to do is go to import on the new one, and I need to choose the right file in here, which is this one with the talk extension. That file is this file that's open. I'm not sure if it'll let me do this from an open file. We'll find out. Right, this shows me my imported text styles. Because I've deleted everything, there can be no conflicts. Although I have a conflict. What's going on there? Whoa. Never mind, I want to replace it anyway, but it shouldn't be there. Okay, so these are my styles. They're living in another file. I am going to import them. There are my styles. What I would do at this point to do what you want to do, you've got a few options. It would make sense to me in my file here to put in a template kind of thing of what my styles look like. I'm just thinking here, did I have this? Is it in N1? Oh, I think I might have done. I created something like this. All it is, you know, heading 1, quick brown fox, right, that's all it is. You'll see down here I've got bulleted list as well, and a load of other stuff. So what I have in here, this would work if I did all of this magic, but in essence, what I would do, I would take all of my styles and I would put them in... This is the one I'm doing it in, isn't it? Right, let me... This is going to cause complete havoc if I do that. Oh, I would put in text like this and then I would format it with my styles over here and then I can see them. You can see here that it goes on to the next stage, and that's because the bulleted list is a H1 and this is a H1. But this file I'm not going to use. I'm not going to put any content in this file. This file is going to be saved as my preferred styles, and it doesn't matter what's in it. There doesn't need to be even any pages in it. But if I do this, then I can come in and quickly see what these styles look like. I have applied, or I would apply, all of these styles to just random text in this file. Then what I would do is save this file. So we'll just put it in the data folder as my styles. And then anytime I create a file, so file new, I would then import those as my default. And I would do that by doing what you've seen me do half a dozen times, which is delete these and then import styles, go and find the My Styles and open it. It only brings in the styles, it doesn't bring in the content. So you could do that from any existing file, any of them. Now, you can, in here, make one extra change. Now, if you are like me, and you do use the same styles all over the place, what you can do is you can go into your burger menu and you can save these styles as the default. And that would mean every time you create a new Affinity Publisher file, you wouldn't have to go through the step of deleting what's there and putting yours in. You could do it that way. I won't do that right now because I train this app and I need this to be looking like the default. Another option is to just create a file that has your styles in it as a template. So if I had this, I've got 2 pages in it and 1 master page. If I go up to File, where's my Exporters Templates? Now, it needs to go in where the templates are or you won't see it. My templates are in my Application Support, Affinity Publisher, Templates folder. Here they are. Here's my demos one. Makes sense to put them in there. So I'll call that my default styles and put it in there. That way, when I go to File and New, and I go to Templates, you can see I've got a MacBytes folder with our bingo cards in, and I have demos. And there is my default styles. I do that, I get a new file, no content, and my styles. So there's 3 different ways of doing it. You can pull them in from an existing file to a file you have created. You could make them the defaults globally, or you could create a template and have those styles, the default styles, inside that template. Right, let me catch up. Does that answer that question? I'm loving this. Oh, I need to get that on there, don't I? I need to get that on there. What I will do is that. There you go. I can even overlay it where I am, Tracy. Be afraid. Loving it. Right, so that was the first one. What were the other 2 things that I said I would cover, Mike? Oh dear.
The PDF smaller file size.
Right, PDFs. When you're making a PDF in here, let's go and get one of these. That one will do. When you're making a PDF, you do have a lot of options. And you can play around with them and it will alter the file size. But it's a bit of a black art. It does give you, when it estimates the file size here, but it takes forever to calculate it. Again, on a slower machine, that could take much longer than that. As you make changes in here, you will see this file size change. But don't play around. Just export it at the best quality. So what I do is digital high quality. That's it. Leave it alone. This one will be about 11.5 to 12.5 meg. Once it's, you don't even have to wait for this. If you think, yeah, I know this and it's taking 2 minutes, you don't have to wait. You can just hit export. So I'm going to export that one. We'll put that in here and we will call that a file size. Right. That means we will have a PDF to play with. The best thing you can do, now I think I saw Tracy mention uploading it to a service, and the problem with uploading it to a service is some people can't do that because it's a business style thing or it's for a client. So there is something that you can do locally. So I'm bringing my data folder on so we can see it. It was file size, which is that one, which is 12.5 meg. What I do is I use an app. It's quite inexpensive. Mike's going to find the link and the price right now. It is a Mac app. It's called PDF Optim, and it's a PDF optimizer. So what it does is it puts my original on the left-hand side and my suggested compressed version on the right. Don't know about you, I can't see much difference between the 2 of those. Just that one is 72.3% smaller than the other one. There is a slight difference in colour, but when you get onto the content and you look at all of this, no difference whatsoever. Just a much smaller file size. What you can do is, let's look at the first page, you can choose medium compression. That way, the file would be 2.1 meg. It would compress it by 83.5%, and you, of course, with this app, get to see what that would look like. That image still looks absolutely fine to me. It's a little bit, it's not as clear, but there again, the file size is 20% of what it was. What I would do is I would need to go to my Finder, make a copy of that, call that original. And that way, when we do this, it will overwrite the original, which is this one here. So I will go in here and export it. And that's it. It's done it. And that is the one that I've just compressed, 2.1 meg. And this is the original. If we look at the file, looks absolutely fine. You can read all of that, no problem with images or anything. So that's what I would do with it. That app is also available on mobile. So you can do that on an iPad. Hope that helps. Right, what was the other one? The other one was taking was it a Word document or a PDF? He's lost his questions. Right, what you can do, let's use file size original. If I go to file and open, was this question about PDF?
Which one?
How do you edit a PDF? Edit it in what way?
The question from Barry knows how to convert a publisher file to Word.
Oh dear. Right. You can't export from Publisher as Word. If you go to export, these are the file formats it supports. You have PDF, which is probably the most flexible. All of the others are graphics. So if what you want to do is make a file in Publisher and then edit it in Word, you'd need to make it a PDF first. So I already have that as a PDF. I do have Word. I don't use it that often, hence it not being the first option there. So here's Word. I could... Can you actually directly open a PDF in Word? I thought you could. Let's have a look. So I'm trying to choose that file. Why aren't you choosing that file? Got all sorts going on. It won't choose it. What on earth are you doing? Right, we're going to start closing apps here because it's getting upset. Right, it's selected it now. So there's the original. Can you do an open with and choose Word? Yes, you can. Thought you could. Right, so what it's doing is it would have been Affinity Publisher exported to PDF and then Word open the PDF. As you can see, it's taking its time. It's not going to be 100% rendered. Let's find out how bad it is. Right, well that's not great, is it? But it's not that bad. It didn't like the font, my font here. That's an image. That's not come through bad. This would need resizing. What we got there? It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not brought the font in with it. It won't have brought the styles in with it. But this is editable. You could edit it if you want. So if you needed to produce something and somebody else then needed to edit it, it's much more likely you've got something that somebody has created and you have a PDF copy of it and you need to edit it and you want to edit it in Word. Then you can do it that way. It will not be 100%, but it's not bad. The actual look of the style has come through, both the headings and the text, the graphics in place, the captions underneath the graphics are in place, so it's not done a bad job, but things aren't in the right place, like this. So one of these, where's the, yeah, it's made a bit of a pig's breakfast, as we say in the UK, of the pull quote. But the content is there if you need to do it. I would say only do that as a last resort. The only real way to get a perfect PDF editable in Word is for the PDF to have been created in Word. But if it didn't come from Word, it's going to have to interpret. And as you can see, some of it's going to be okay, some of it less so. It just depends on the actual document. But hopefully that helps. Right, let's go back up here. Right, have you done the thing that Tracy wants, which is this one? The PDF optimizer that I use is called PDF Optim. Have you put that?
Yeah, the link's in the chat.
Okay, right, it's in there already. I will put it somewhere in the description, maybe.
There's another question as well.
Okay, right. Any other great app suggestions to use? PDF Optim was such a great idea. You were searching for something, but not as a web service and not super costly. I think PDF Optim, is it Mac only?
I have no idea.
I think that is Mac. Well, Mac and iOS only. I personally don't use any of the others. I've tried some, and
No, it's available for Windows as well.
good grief! In that case, it's cross-platform too. That's the one I use. That's the only one that I would recommend. I use that every week. What happens is I get a file. I'm in charge of making sure that nothing absolutely horrific goes out in our church newsletter, although this week was a bit dicey. So I'm the last eyes to see it. And when I've done it, I make a PDF. And this has to happen at the moment, but not for much longer, in Microsoft Publisher on Windows. And again, I don't fiddle with the PDF output. It's just like, make me a PDF, make it as big as you like. Because when I get it on my computer, off my Windows box, I'm going to compress it anyway. So I use that every week, and I get it compressed by about 70%. The reason that I do that is most people who are accessing a church newsletter are doing it on a device, not a desktop. And why have them download 12 meg when they can download 1.5? And on a phone, you're really not going to see that much difference anyway. So I always compress it, and that's the one that I use. Sometimes if you use a different one, like I've used in the past, it subsets the fonts, which means if a character isn't used, so if there's no X in the newsletter, it won't put the X in the character in the font set. That's how it compresses it. The problem with that is then the file isn't as editable as it would be. So there's lots of different ways that they compress things. And I found that PDF Optim does the best job. If I find another one, I will let you know, but I've binned all of the others in favour of that.
She means any app, visual styles, anything.
Oh, right, I'm with you.
So
Other apps I use. Okay. No, let's bring that
Too
back.
many to mention.
I do use a lot of apps. In terms of tools that would support Affinity Publisher, probably the best, probably the one that I use, it's open all day, every day, is called Eagle. Let's get that off there, and let's do that. And I'll show you Eagle. Eagle is an asset manager. It's a digital asset manager. It's a one-time cost. I think it's about £36, but it's a lifetime license. It's cross-platform, Windows and Mac, and it really is a lifetime license. I'm on version 4, and I haven't paid for any updates, so it's a one-off. What it does is enable you to have all of your graphics, images that you're working with, in a single location and organise them to work with them. So these that you're looking at here, all of these images were the images that were in my Start Smart in Scrivener. They were all there. This is where I manage them from, and I work with them. And what I can do with them in here is they would have a name, so that one's templates. I can put notes in, I can put a URL where I downloaded it. I can organise it into folders, I can tag them, it's got properties in it. It even shows me a colour palette, and from there I can copy that colour. So all of these would have different colour palettes attached to them. You can also in here double click and it will open it, and then I can focus on it, I can read everything. I've used this now I think for about 3 or 4 years, and you can see this is my work in progress file. So this is the one that I use day in, day out. You can see I've got a group, Smart Start Scrivener, and within there I've got the groups so these are the ones that I'm not using. These are my screen captures, these were my promotional images for it, and they're all there, organised. I use a para system, so that's what these are here. But this one is my throw everything in there and you'll find it when you need it file. I also have a range of other libraries, one of which is the MacBytes library. This I use with a podcast, so you can see I've got totally different folders. I've got an inbox, these are my chapter markers. this is the artwork that we use on the show. So as I'm editing the audio, if we're doing a hardware review, I will click there, drag it into my audio editor, and that will make a chapter for it. I also have the images for the review of the year. I've got show art in there. So these are all the show arts that we use. Got my after hours posters, my after hours slides. So all my images, all my slides were exported as images, and they're in there too. So they're all searchable. You can see there's 3,000 and odd in there. The important thing for me in here is that these can be ordered in any order you like. Obviously, if you look at them, MacBytes would be, if this was alphabetical, even at reverse alphabetical, you wouldn't have MacBytes after welcome. These can be manually ordered, and that is critical to how I work. The fact I can manually organise files. It's for images, it's for videos. You can put your Affinity files in here and you will even get a preview with them. And then what I do, I drag and drop them wherever I need them. That is what I do with them. That app saves me hours. There is another one that a lot of people in the community use, which is called Media Place. They are very, very, very heavy on AI. They still haven't added the ability to organise them manually, which is critical for me. But yeah, Eagle is a good place to look for things like that. And let me know, are you on Windows or Mac? If you're on Mac, this is available right now. If you're on Windows, it's on the way. And that is an app called Raycast, which you may have seen me use, which is this. It's one shortcut, it brings up that, and then I can do all kinds of things with it, including copying a hex code. So let's say in here, I've got some text like that. And I go into here and I want to see more colours. And it brings up this. And this is the hex code for this. So if we go into here and choose our sliders, there's the hex code. If I take that hex code, and I'm just going to put it in here on another line, and I'm going to put a hex at the beginning. If I copy that, don't want that, just copy that. Bring this up, you would see the colour in there, like that. So it gives you a preview of the colour in here if you have a hex code in it. It's amazing. You can also in here use colour picker and right. There is an extension for it where you can pick a colour. So I can do that. My mouse pointer changes. If I want to pick up the hex colour for that blue, I can do it, and it says it's copied to the clipboard. And if I look at the clipboard, there it is on the clipboard, and I can actually see it. So it's a great way to visualise here. If I've copied multiple colours, it's a great way to visualise it. And it can do a million more things than that. Trust me, Raycast can do a million more things. As Jammy will tell you, unless Jammy's disappeared. Have I ever gone back to Media Place? I need to catch up with these comments now. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. So let me get up there and... Right. Any apps, visual styles, anything. What else do I use? I pretty much make my own templates and stuff, and that saves a ton of time. Beyond that, it would mainly be stock sites and things like that. Have I ever gone back to Media Place? No, I haven't, because if I was trying to use it for MacBytes, I wouldn't be able to, because I wouldn't be able to manually sort. It is a great app. I think I've got a lifetime license and some credits somewhere. But I think I'm just too invested with how Eagle works. And the fact that I could use Eagle or I could use Media Place. I could swap between them because you can have multiple databases in both. So if I was doing a particular project and it demanded a lot of AI, then maybe I would use Media Place. But I have to say my main digital organiser is Eagle. If you don't want to spend money on either of them, don't forget that Affinity Adobe Bridge is free. Well, it is at the moment. It has been free for a long, long time. You do have to download all of the thing and it starts offering you trials, but it is actually free. Adobe Bridge can't do the same or as much as Eagle or Media Place though. Media Place have changed how they index things. They now index in place, which is what Adobe Bridge does, although Bridge can cache. But Adobe Bridge, the features they add are more automations than you will find in Eagle. But it is totally free. The unfortunate thing with Adobe Bridge is that it can't read Affinity files, which Eagle can. So again, that's another plus, as far as I'm concerned, for Eagle over Media Place. Okay, where's my mouse pointer gone? Which screen's it on?
Question. What was the app with the colours raincoats that you've just shown?
Colours raincoats?
Yeah. Question from Charmaine.
I can see the question.
I think it was Eagle, because that's all you've shown.
Okay, let's bring Eagle back.
She just wanted to know how you spell it. I think it was
If
Eagle.
it was that one, and you mean, let's go up here. If you mean these here with the colours, that one was Eagle. I'm sure Media Place will do something similar. Bridge, I'm not sure it does. But with these, you can literally, you know, click on one of these and you can copy it in any kind of thing. You can set it as the primary colour. You can copy the hex code. You can find images that have a similar colour. You can do all kinds of things with that. So was it that one that you meant?
The colours, was it raincoats?
Does Eagle no longer duplicate files? Let's get back.
Raycast.
Raycast. Right. Okay, Raycast. How to best show Raycast. Let's get out of that and into this. There we go. Right. Raycast for Mac. Right. For the moment, I know I don't want you to go to YouTube. Can you not just open a Raycast page? That's grand. Right, that's Raycast. Raycast is an app. If you're on a Mac, you will have something called Spotlight. For years and years, we've all used something called a launcher. You may have heard of Quicksilver, Alfred, or Raycast. A launcher allows you to launch an application quickly. So if I bring Raycast up and I type Vivaldi, in fact, I use Vivaldi that often at Avi will do, right? And that will open that application. It will let me open the app. At a base level, that's what it's made to do. But Raycast has been built with all sorts of magic in mind. The ability to, I have an application called Colour Slurp. And what that does is let me pick a colour. So if I use this shortcut key, you can see there, I've now selected that colour. You see I also get messages despite the fact I'm on D&D. Right, that's just the Mac. So I've copied that colour. If I go into here, you can see it didn't have a hex at the beginning, so it didn't come and show me that in here. But that is what that app lets me do. It's all that app lets me do. So the colour that I selected was, I would do this, select a colour, it would come up when I go into here, right? So these are my colours. I have in there colours that I've picked in the past. These are my recent ones. There's the red I've just picked. There's the grey I've just picked. And this is what it gives me. The problem with this app is it's gone subscription, which is a little bit much, isn't it, for a colour picker? Really? I don't think it has a lot more features than maybe you would get in the Raycast one. But if what I want to do is pick a colour off the screen, I can do that with Raycast. There are other things that I can do with Raycast that are for designers. I should probably do a session on it and then you'd understand how it works. Give me an example of the other stuff I do with it, Mike. Mike decided he was going to install it with this. So £100 in dollars. And today that would be $135.35, and it was updated 2 hours ago. Another thing you can do with it is type in a number and a flight number, and it will tell you where that flight is, and it will show you the flight. I haven't got a flight number, or I would do that for you. Shall I guess at one? No, anything could happen. Find me a flight number, Mike. Right. The other things that you can do, or exciting things that you can do. I've got one. The Premier League. I have an extension installed, and it shows me the league table. Obviously, I'd have to go quite a way down to find United. There they are. You do realise we'd be fourth from bottom. We'd only just miss relegation if we don't win tomorrow, Mike. But what this does is it shows you the league position. It shows you how many games have been played. It shows you that we've lost 4 out of the last 5 games. And all sorts. It also does a lot more than that. So you've got the tables. You've got results. You've got clubs. So if you wanted to know more about a club, so say Brentford. They play at the G-Stack Stadium. You can see the capacity. You can see where they are on Twitter. So Raycast can do anything you want it to do with extensions. So in the store, but the Raycast is free. The apps in the store are free. If I was looking for something to do with, let's say screen OCR, right? There is an extension in here that lets me pick text off a screen. So you see that says screen OCR. At the moment on my clipboard, I have that colour. But if I were to do this, and then I look at my clipboard, it's actually taken that text off the screen without me making a selection of it. I've just drawn around it. So this Raycast is an image. That at least is selectable, but that's an image. But I could actually draw around that, and it would copy the word Raycast, and it's editable, into Raycast. So on its own, it's a launcher, and it can do certain things that are pre-programmed. But using extensions that are in the store, and there's lots for designers, you could pretty much do anything with it. So if I look in here and I put design, it will bring up what it can do. So there's excuses for designers, news for designers, have a placeholder image, all kinds of stuff. I will put it on our list to do a session on. But at the moment it's available on the Mac. It can do a certain limited amount on iOS, and the Windows version is coming, probably within a couple of months. Mike uses it totally for free. I do pay for it, but I'm paying for integrated AI and synchronization. In terms of what it can actually do, you do not need to pay for any of it. All of the extensions are free. The app itself is free. You only need to pay for added extras. It's worth it for me for the added extras, less so for Mike. So that's where we are.
Right,
with that.
try this.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a flight number. BA275.
BA275. Yes, it is.
Right.
London Heathrow today at 9 minutes, probably 9 minutes late, I would suggest. Going to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So if you have a flight number, you can do that. You can see it's in flight, etc. That's your flight tracker. When you press enter, it even shows you a little thing. You needed to get one to Seattle to see Kim. But yes, it gives you all the information, and it's due to arrive at 10 to 4 in the morning tomorrow. 10-hour flight. There you go. And what you can do in there is you can copy that flight code and do other things with it. You have a whole range of things. So if you want to copy the arrival time and put it in an email, you can do that. So you're really not limited with Raycast. The stuff it can do is totally amazing, but it's different for every single person. So I use it to capture text. I use it to capture colours. There's a million things I use it for. I would not want to be without it. Right, okay, let's get back to our questions. If we've got any more questions. Whoa, it's a long one today.
Did you ever do a session on Airtable?
No.
Right.
No. Right. Hello, Tiffany. Good to have you with us. I know you're Patricia. Right. Eagle does duplicate the files to put them in the library, but that's what I want. I delete them from everywhere else. My library is on Dropbox. I just have to open Eagle on any machine, and I've got access to the same files. So I don't want them. At the beginning, I thought, oh, I want these outside of Eagle, but now I'm converted, so I don't really want it to work with files on the disk. I would then have to be versioning them and all kinds of stuff. So it does duplicate them, and that's what I want. Right, so Cake, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Where can you find Matt Bites? You've missed them. If you're referring to Matt Bites After Hours, YouTube, not helpful with Matt Bites After Hours. The show itself, as you see, Mike's put a link in for you. You will find all the shows that we've done on there. Right. We got there in the end with Raycast, didn't we? Right. Yes. Jammy, dirty admission there, Jammy. You waited never mind over a year. You checked the videos and they were January 2023. Oh, but now you're converted. Right. Do we keep a perpetual license for Colour Slurp if we already bought it? The subscription version is in beta, and it's been in beta for months and months. The developer, didn't he make that app that you bought, the text editor thing? So the platform is in place for a subscription. I haven't been requested to subscribe yet. I don't know whether you would be able to keep the one you've got or not. But to be honest, apart from creating palettes, the ability to capture something off the screen is in Raycast. And again, it's totally free. You can have it on every machine you've got. What I intend to do is I will remap the shortcut keys from Colour Slurp to Raycast, and I'm not going to notice the difference. I am not going to notice the difference. I will not miss it, which is a damning indictment of them and definitely in Raycast's favour. Okay. No, I've never done a demo on Airtable. We don't use it. So Mike was quite right there. Can you exclusively store the photos on an external drive only? Is this in Eagle?
In Eagle, yeah.
Yes, you can put it's a database. So there is an Eagle database and you can put that database wherever you like. Mine is in the cloud and I have it marked to keep a copy local. But mine's in Dropbox and I've never had an issue with it. Touching wood as I speak. But I've never had an issue with it. So it's far easier for me if I need access on another machine. I just open it and I'm accessing the same database. But if you want to put it on an external drive because of storage, I mean, Apple are notoriously tight with their storage SSDs. Yes, you can do. Absolutely. Right. Hello, Sandra. Sandra says, just seem to have missed you. Glad to see you back. Love your tutorials. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoy them. Jammy doesn't subscribe to that anymore. No, I couldn't see the difference if I was comparing. It was a text editor, wasn't it, with a kind of library feature. So you can have a text editor like Sublime Text, which is just a text editor, no file storage involved. Or you can have something like Raycast, not Raycast, Obsidian, and that is a Markdown editor, and it's a library for Markdown files. You can have multiple vaults, what their word is for libraries or databases. So I couldn't really see much of a benefit to a text editor like that. The only exception for me is that I do have IA Writer installed. A most unfortunate name now because you keep thinking AI and it's IA. That is literally if I wanted to share something with Mike in Markdown format, and that's it. So I would have used Obsidian for that. Do I use Eagle in place of Finder? For images, yes I do. So if I download images or something like that, I will put them into Eagle. I'll delete the others or just back them up somewhere, and I will use the copy that is in Eagle all the time. Because I'm able to tag it, I can organise them, I can visually find them. It's a lot easier to do that. You can even, in Eagle, which you couldn't do in a Finder, you can put your images in a folder in Eagle. You can call them all the same if you like, because the way Eagle stores them, the file name doesn't need to be unique in the same folder. So I could have 5 images called MacBytes and it's quite happy. Finder, no, it would be MacBytes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you get used to Eagle, yeah, I wouldn't use the Finder anymore for organising images, definitely not. Oh, that's the one. Brevito, isn't it? Doubled in price despite not adding any features. Well, isn't that just typical of a subscription? Just saying. Yeah, I don't think Colour Slurp... I don't see Colour Slurp in my future, let's put it like that. I love supporting developers, don't get me wrong. Just because something's a subscription doesn't mean that I won't pay for it. I pay for Raycast. Mike doesn't need to. He's not interested in the features that's chargeable. I am interested in that. With Obsidian, you don't need to pay at all. It's totally free. There are no features that you would get by buying what's called a Catalyst license, other than early access to features. And I paid for that. I paid for that a long time ago. This week, Obsidian have just released a killer new feature. Absolute killer. It is very, very alpha at the moment. I won't even say it's beta yet. But if you are an early access person, you've got access to it. I was so excited by this feature, I upped my Catalyst license from the $25 level to the top level. You don't need to pay for this. I'd already paid $25. $25 won't keep them developing that for life. So I upped the thing to the highest you could do because I don't want to do without it. But something like Colour Slurp, let's be honest, I've already binned 2 other colour picker apps because one died. They just stopped developing it, and the other one went silly prices. Silly prices for what it does. You can't charge the same as Microsoft do for Microsoft Office when it's a colour picker. And that's pretty much what's happening. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, Jemmy. I'm not surprised. Do I have an affiliate link for Eagle? I'm not sure if I do or not, but if I have, Patricia, I'll email it you. And Jammy, he came round to my way of thinking. Obsidian replaced Bravita. I can't see why it wouldn't, because it can do so much. And with separate vaults, if you wanted one to be like your writing vault, or your notes from whatever, you go to a conference, you could have just one vault for all those conference notes. Whereas anything that has a library, a single library, I mean, Ulysses works the same way. AI Writer works the same way. If it's got one library, all your stuff is together. Whereas in Obsidian, it doesn't have to be. I only have 2 vaults. My main vault has everything in it, unless I didn't write it. So if I've captured a web page or I've captured an email, it goes into a totally separate vault called Clippings. And that way, I don't have other people's thoughts in my vault. But other than that, if I decided I could hive off like a whole year's worth of notes, or I could hive off a conference to share it with somebody. It's far more flexible than any of the others are going to be. And because there's such a huge community, everything is a lot... it seems to develop a lot faster. So they brought out this feature which is called Bases. And it's if you've heard of Data View, it allows you to view your notes in a database format. And it came out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, whoa, what does this do? Because there's not much in the way of instructions. And I went onto their Discord, and there was like 300 posts with people saying, I tried this, and this didn't work, but I tried that, and that did work. And do you know that you can use stars for this? And you can't do it if you do it that. And I'm like, whoa, I could be here all afternoon, just reading what people are putting. And the stuff I found out from there, even though this is in really, really, really early beta, I'm using it. I've set it up and I've got, 5 things in one database. It's all set up and it's working. It's amazing. So I would certainly support them as well. Right, that was the last comment that I saw that was in there. So maybe everybody's disappeared, although I can see from the figures, no, you've not. You're still with us, which is excellent. Okay, the answer to the question, which was when's the next live, is I don't know. We tend not to do too many lives in the summer because it's sweltering in here, isn't it, Mike?
It is.
We put these on and it was freezing. I've got the fire sat behind me, an electric fire. And 2 days later, I had a heat wave. And Mike said, you've forgotten the weather, haven't you? And I said, I have actually. So I'm not sure when the next live will be. I'm going to look at the weather. Apparently, because it's bank holiday this weekend, and doesn't the cricket season start? It's going to be absolutely cats and dogs out here. Raining cats and dogs. So this week will be great, but the following weeks might get a bit warm, and it's not good. It's not good. But we will definitely hang around till September, because we've definitely got big news in September, haven't we, Mike?
We have.
Well, the plan is we'll have big news in September, so fingers crossed for all of that. Right, last call for any questions, comments, queries, anything else. Let me know. I will give you a few seconds to catch up.
Going.
No, they're leaving a little bit longer than that, Mike. A little bit longer. Tell you what, so I know you're there, let me know what you learnt from today. What was your biggest takeaway from today? Could have been pinning images, couldn't it? Or it could have been something else. Let me know in the chat. Unless no one can hear me and I'm talking to myself. But you're still there, aren't you? You're saying I'm broadcasting. Yeah, Mike can hear me, so I think we're still there. Oh, excellent. Here we go. SFN, hello. You missed me. Can't hang around. I wanted to say hi. We're doing well. We're doing well. You hope to catch us again soon. Excellent. I'm seeing here that Patricia had lots of questions and we're so generous. Thank you very much. You can always put a comment on the video after we've finished it. Or get in touch. Tips to import styles. Yeah, it's not obvious that, is it? Because you can't export them. So you think, well, where am I importing them from? But once you know the trick, and Mish enjoyed that as well. So that one was Kim. Mish enjoyed saving styles to another document. Excellent. Okay. Thank you for all of that. Thank you for being with us for the last 2 hours, 41 minutes. It's amazing, isn't it? At least I kept the demo down under 2 hours, which wasn't bad considering everything that I demonstrated. But there you go. So, I will say a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And we will both see you next time. Take care, guys.